In this video, I want to give you some basic information about how to use OzGIS. Now this is the main screen as it appears. Down the bottom here we have an area where the so-called trace messages appear, and as you do things the message here will change. There's also a progress bar here. Some of the data preparation operations take quite a while, and so you'll sort of see a progress thing advance across there to show you what stage it's at. Now OzGIS is basically a menu driven system. The software was developed long before systems like Windows and the Mac, when no one had ever heard of a mouse. And so behind the scene there's a network of something like 1,000 menus, and the appropriate ones will appear as you use the system. Now we have a concept of a main menu, and this is the so-called top menu, which is what you get when you start up the system. Now when you select an operation on the main menu, you'll get a lower level menu. So for example, let's display a choropleth map, and then you get various dialogs pop up as you use the system. Now at each stage within the system it should show you appropriate information. So for example, here we're about to do a map and it's asked for the attribute file name, and you get presented with just attribute files and there's nothing else available. If you're using a Mac, you'll find that these dialogues look a bit different. So let's select an attribute file for Australia, and now it's asking for the other file it needs, which is the geographic file to draw the map. And once again, all you get presented with geographic files, and we can select the OzGIS, the Australia map, and there we have our map. Now the first thing you'll see is that the main menu at the top has changed, and it's changed to something that's appropriate to what you're doing. And so if you go into lower level menus here, it lets you select attributes in various ways as appropriate for a map which only has one attribute file. Now the other thing is that these menus are dynamic. So for example, if I put names for the sites, which are always in these files, and I'm asked for a geographic file, I'll use the same one. You'll get various other dialogues asking you in this case for which type of text you want and what you want to appear on a menu. And there we go, we've got all the names are now being displayed and the menu's there. Now the thing I want to point out is, if we go back to our overlay menu we just used to put the names on, there's now a new items appeared at the bottom, which enables you to remove that. So I can do that, and all the names have now gone and the legend's gone because it only had one item in it. And if I look at the overlay, it's no longer got that menu item in it. So menus are dynamic. You should never see an item in a menu which isn't appropriate, and they come and go. So because there's now no names on there, there's no option there. Other things, features, for example, I might say I want to display text, and now I've got down to a sub-menu. I can type in a line of text for display, ask me what text type I want, for what text I want to display on the screen. hello, and OK. Then I've got a pop-up message, and this is a help message. You might remember in the configuration you can turn these off if you get sick of them, but it'll tell you what to do. So OK, and then your cursor's selection, you usually, when you click, the cursor will appear and you can position it where you want and let go, and there it is. And now the same thing in the menu. Now you've put a bit of text on there, you've now got an option to delete it, and it's gone. Okay. When you've finished at this level of operation, you can go to the file menu and you've got an option to take you up right up to the top menu again, and there you are back where you started. Now a few other things. If say we want to do some importing of files, let's say we've got a shape file, geographic file here. We now get asked for the internal data file. Now one thing here is this defaults to your OzData directory. If you go and now select a different directory, that will become the default, and it'll remain there until you go back to OzData or whatever else you want. Now the real difference here is because we're importing geographic files, you get a whole lot of different sorts of files now, not just one as you had when you were doing a map. So in this case we're doing an Esri shape file, and now it shows you just shape files. And now yeah, you can still select that, but here okay, we select our shape file. Now it's asking you for something like a parameter file, and in some cases where you're inputting data, there's not just one data file, there's two. And in our case with Esri shape files, you have dbase files as an option, and now you've got your dbase file. Turn up here and you can select that, and away you go to input your data. One other thing, if we say go to a bivariate zone, so we've got showing zones for a couple of files. We'll go, let's do Far East Asian for example, 2 attribute files, and the geographic file for Far East Asia. And now we've got our bivariate map up. It's got you know, the scatter diagram shows they're both correlated perfectly. But if we can now select an attribute, and we go to the attribute menu, and this is exactly the same menu as you're using on this straight choropleth map, only now it doesn't talk about just the next sequential attribute, it talks about a primary and a secondary, and so everything's paired up. So once again the menu dynamically changes according to the status or what you're doing. So you know, next sequential primary attribute, and it's changed. So the thing is, don't worry about things that change. Just go with the flow. You should always be presented with a menu anywhere which is appropriate for what you want to do, and then back up to the top menu and you're ready to do something else. And that's about it.